Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the dark space around them. The Earth Survey ship Horizon had been traveling for 3 months now, far from home. Jake and his crew were looking for new planets and checking on old ones. It was quiet work, but Jake liked it that way. The year was 2387, and humans had been flying between the stars for over 200 years. Most of the time, they stayed close to Earth and the nearby star systems. Jake had heard stories about alien wars happening far away, but Earth had always stayed out of those fights. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Ben Clark from his station, "we're getting a strange signal from the Tau Ceti system." Jake walked over to Ben's station. The young officer looked worried. "What kind of signal?" "It's encrypted, sir." "But it's not using any human codes. Someone else sent this message." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years of space travel, he had never received a message from aliens. Earth had rules about staying away from other species. They were supposed to watch and learn, but not make contact. "Can you break the encryption?" Jake asked. Ben worked at his computer for several minutes. The rest of the bridge crew watched in silence. Finally, the message appeared on the main screen. It was written in basic English, though some words were spelled wrong. "To any human ships in this area. This is Commander Lisa Hayes of the Nexari Federation. We need help. The war is about to get much worse. Please respond if you receive this message." Jake stared at the screen. A human name, but she said she was with the Nexari Federation. He had heard that name before in the intelligence reports. The Nexari were one of the smaller alien groups caught between two bigger powers. "Sir," said Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's science officer, "according to our files, the Nexari control about 50 star systems. They've been fighting the Zephyrian Empire and the Corvin Collective for over 200 years. Jake knew about the war. Everyone in Earth's space fleet had heard the stories. 3 alien civilizations had been destroying each other for centuries. Billions of beings had died. Whole planets had been turned into wastelands. Send a response, Jake decided. Tell her we received her message and ask what kind of help she needs. The reply came back within an hour. This time, it was a voice message. The woman speaking had a slight accent, but her English was clear. "Captain Morrison, thank you for responding. I was born on one of the human colonies before the war. Reached our sector. I've been working with the Nexaray government for 15 years now. We have a serious problem, and Earth might be the only hope we have left." Jake listened carefully as Lisa Hayes explained the situation. The war between the 3 alien powers had reached a terrible point. Both the Zephyrian Empire and the Corvan Collective were ready to use weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Not just the military ships and bases, but the planets too. Planets with billions of innocent people living on them. "The Zephyrians have built something they call the Star Killer," Lisa's voice continued. "It can make a star explode. The Corvins have their own weapon called the Life Eater. It spreads across planets and kills everything living on them. Both sides are ready to use these weapons rather than lose the war." Jake felt sick. He had seen war before, but this was different. These aliens were talking about killing entire worlds full of people. "Captain," said Lieutenant Maria Santos, the communications officer, "there's more to the message." Lisa Hayes continued speaking. "The Nexari Federation has been trying to stop this for months. We've begged both sides to think about the innocent people who will die, but they don't care anymore. They just want to win, no matter what it costs." Jake looked around at his crew. They all had the same shocked look on their faces. Amy Foster was shaking her head in disbelief. "The reason I'm contacting you," Lisa went on, "is that we know humans have been watching the war from a distance. We also know that Earth has stayed neutral in all conflicts. Maybe that's exactly what we need. Now, someone who isn't on any side, someone who can speak for all the innocent people who are going to die. The message ended with coordinates for a meeting place and a request for Jake to contact Earth Command immediately. Jake sat in his captain's chair and thought about what he had just heard. Earth had a policy of not getting involved in alien wars. But this wasn't just about armies fighting each other anymore. This was about stopping the murder of billions of innocent people. Ben, he said finally, send an emergency message to Earth Command. Tell them we have a situation that needs immediate attention. As Ben worked on the message, Jake stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 3 alien civilizations were about to destroy each other, and maybe half the galaxy with them. Earth had always stayed safe by staying hidden and staying out of other people's fights. But maybe it was time for that to change. The message to Earth would take 2 days to reach home. Jake decided to change course and head toward the coordinates Lisa Hayes had given him. He wanted to learn more about this situation before Earth Command made their decision. As the horizon turned toward the Tau Ceti system, Jake wondered if he was making the right choice. But when he thought about all those innocent people who were going to die, he knew he had to try something. The war had been going on for over 200 years. Maybe it was time for someone new to step in and stop it. Admiral Sam Carter was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency message arrived at Luna Command Center. The message from Captain Morrison was marked with the highest priority code. Sam had known Jake for 10 years, and the captain was not. Someone who panicked easily. Sam read the message twice before calling an emergency meeting. Within 2 hours, the most important people in Earth's government were gathering in the council chambers. President Kate Sullivan arrived first, followed by the other council members. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam began, we have a situation that requires immediate attention. He played the recording that Jake Morrison had sent. The room fell silent as they listened to Lisa Hayes describe the weapons that could destroy entire star systems. When the message ended, everyone started talking at once. This is exactly why we stay out of alien affairs, said General Mike Rodriguez, hitting his fist on the table. We're not ready for this kind of war. We have 50 ships, maybe 100 if we count the older ones. These aliens have been fighting with thousands of ships for centuries. Ambassador Nick Thompson shook his head. We can't just ignore this, Mike. If these weapons are used, the destruction could spread. Even if it doesn't reach our systems directly, the effects could be felt across the galaxy. President Sullivan raised her hand for silence. Dr. Foster, you've been studying the reports from our deep space missions. What do you think about these weapons? Dr. Amy Foster, who had been transferred to Earth's research division, stood up. She had been on the horizon before taking her new job. Madam President, based on what we know about stellar physics, a weapon that can make stars explode is possible. The energy release would be enormous. It could affect gravity fields and radiation levels across multiple star systems. Ben Clark, now working as an environmental scientist for Earth's space program, added more bad news. If even one of these weapons is used, it could start a chain reaction. The destruction might not stop with just one star system. We could see entire sectors of the galaxy become uninhabitable. The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to ignore the message and pretend they had never received it. Others argued that humanity had a moral duty to help prevent genocide. What about our own safety? Asked Councilwoman Julie Morgan. If we get involved in this war, we could become targets. Earth could be destroyed. If we don't get involved, replied Councilman Tony Martinez, the galaxy might be destroyed anyway. At least if we try to help, we have a chance to stop it. President Sullivan listened to all the arguments before making her decision. Admiral Carter, what military options do we have? Sam had been thinking about this question since he first read Morrison's message. Madam President, our ships are more advanced than most people realize. We've been developing new technology for decades, but we've kept it secret. Our faster-than-light drives are better than anything the aliens have. Our weapons and shields are also more advanced. How much more advanced? Asked General Rodriguez. Enough to make a difference, Sam replied. But I don't think we should go in fighting. We should try diplomacy first. Nick Thompson nodded in agreement. If we can position ourselves as neutral mediators, we might be able to stop the war without anyone getting hurt. The discussion continued late into the night. Finally, President Sullivan called for a vote. The motion to authorize Operation Peacekeeper passed by a narrow margin. Admiral Carter, the president said, you have permission to mobilize the Earth Defense Fleet. But remember, our goal is to stop the war, not start a new one. Sam saluted. Understood, Madam President. Over the next week, Sam worked around the clock to prepare the fleet. He contacted Captain Morrison and told him to continue gathering information about the alien factions. Jake was also ordered to make contact with all three groups and try to arrange a meeting. The Earth Defense Fleet consisted of 12 ships, much smaller than the alien fleets, but equipped with technology that had been developed in secret for decades. The flagship was the Eds Valiant, commanded by Captain Tony Martinez. Each ship had a crew of about 200 people. Sam chose his ship commanders carefully. Captain Julie Morgan would command the EDS Defender, known for her tactical skills. Commander Dan Phillips would pilot the AD Shadow, the fleet's stealth ship. These were some of Earth's best officers, and Sam would need their skills in the coming days. As the fleet prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Sam thought about the decision they had made. Humanity had stayed hidden from galactic politics for centuries. They had watched alien civilizations rise and fall, but they had never interfered. Now they were about to step onto the galactic stage in a big way. If they succeeded, they could save billions of lives and maybe bring peace to the galaxy. If they failed, they could make enemies of 3 powerful alien civilizations and put Earth in danger. Sam looked out at the stars from his ship's bridge. Somewhere out there, Captain Morrison was trying to arrange peace talks between species that had been killing each other for centuries. The captain was brave to take on such a dangerous mission. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Steve Baker, the communications officer. We're receiving a message from Captain Morrison. The message was not good news. Jake reported that the alien leaders had rejected his proposal for peace talks. The Zephyrian Empire had called humans primitive newcomers who had no right to interfere in galactic affairs. The Corvin Collective had been slightly more polite, but they also refused to consider a ceasefire. Only the Nexari Federation had shown any interest in peace, but they were the smallest of the 3 powers. They didn't have enough influence to stop the other 2 from using their terrible weapons. Sir, Steve continued, Captain Morrison is requesting permission to try a different approach. He wants to demonstrate human technology to show that we're not as primitive as they think. Sam considered this request. Showing off human technology was risky. It could make the aliens more interested in peace talks, or it could make them see Earth as a threat. Send this message to Captain Morrison. Sam decided. Tell him to be careful, but he has permission to show them what human ships can do. Just don't reveal everything we're capable of. As the message was sent, Sam prepared his fleet for departure. They would need several days to reach the area where Morrison was operating. Sam hoped that Jake could keep the situation from getting worse until the fleet arrived. The fate of billions of people across the galaxy now depended on whether humanity could convince 3 alien civilizations to stop fighting and start talking. Sam looked at the stars one more time before giving the order to depart. Earth was about to find out if humans really were ready to take their place among the galactic powers. Captain Jake Morrison arrived at the Nexari capital world of Valdris, prime 3 days after receiving Admiral Carter's message. The planet was beautiful from space, with blue oceans and green continents, but Jake could see the signs of war everywhere. Damaged space stations orbited the planet, and military ships moved in defensive formations. Lisa Hayes met Jake at the main spaceport. She was a woman in her 40s with brown hair and tired eyes. She had been fighting this war for 15 years, and it showed on her face. "Captain Morrison," she said, shaking his hand. "Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure Earth would respond to our message." "We almost didn't," Jake replied honestly. "A lot of people on Earth think we should stay out of galactic affairs. But we couldn't ignore what you told us about those weapons." Lisa led him through the spaceport to a government building. Along the way, Jake saw refugees from other worlds, families carrying everything they owned, children who looked scared and hungry. The war had displaced millions of people. "This is Chancellor Alex Wells," Lisa said, introducing Jake to a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "He leads the Nexari Federation government." Chancellor Wells spoke through a translation device. "Captain Morrison, we are grateful that Earth has agreed to help us. But I must ask, what can 50 human ships do against thousands of alien vessels?" Jake smiled. "Chancellor, you might be surprised by what human ships can do. But before we talk about military action, let's try diplomacy first." The first diplomatic meeting was held on a neutral space station called Haven's Gate. It was located in empty space between the 3 alien territories. Jake brought along Jennifer Cole, his best diplomatic officer, and Dr. Amy Foster, who had rejoined his crew as a science advisor. The meeting room was large and circular, with 3 sections for the different alien delegations. The Zephyrian Empire sent Ambassador Vex 7, a tall being made of what looked like living crystal. The Corvin Collective was represented by Sub-Queen Kala 5, a creature that was part organic and part machine. The Nexari Federation brought Chancellor Wells and Commander Lisa Hayes. "Humans," said Ambassador Vex 7, his voice ringing like broken glass. "You have been hiding in your small corner of the galaxy for centuries. What right do you have to interfere in our affairs now?" Sub-Queen Kala 5's mechanical voice was cold and emotionless. "The Corvin Collective has analyzed human technology. Your species is primitive compared to ours. You cannot offer anything we need." Jake remained calm. "I understand your concerns, but we're not here to take sides or tell you how to run your civilizations. We're here because billions of innocent people are going to die if this war continues." "Innocent?" Ambassador Vex 7's crystalline body flashed with angry light. "There are no innocents in war. Everyone must choose a side." "That's not true," Jennifer Cole said firmly. "What about the children? What about the families just trying to live their lives? They didn't start this war, and they don't deserve to die because of it." The debate continued for hours. Jake presented his proposal for a temporary ceasefire while Earth helped mediate the conflict. He explained that humanity had no interest in controlling alien territories or taking resources. They just wanted to prevent genocide. Sub-Queen Kala 5 was the first to reject the proposal. "The Corvin Collective will not stop fighting until the Zephyrian Empire is destroyed. They have killed too many of our people." Ambassador Vex 7 agreed. "The Zephyrians will never accept peace with the Corvin insects. This war will end only when one side is completely defeated." Chancellor Wells looked desperate. "Please, think about what you're saying. If you use those weapons, entire star systems will be destroyed. Not just military targets, but civilian populations too. War requires sacrifice." Ambassador Vex 7 replied coldly. Jake felt his patience running out. These aliens were so focused on their hatred for each other that they couldn't see the bigger picture. He decided to try a different approach. "Let me ask you something," Jake said. "What happens after you use these weapons? Let's say the Zephyrians use their Star Killer and destroy a Corvin system. What do you think the Corvins will do in response?" Sub-Queen Kala Five's mechanical eyes focused on Jake. "We will use the Life Eater to destroy a Zephyrian world. And then the Zephyrians will destroy another Corvin system," Jake continued. "And then you'll destroy another Zephyrian world. Where does it end?" The room fell silent. For the first time, the alien ambassadors seemed to be thinking about the consequences of their actions. "It ends when our enemies are all dead," Ambassador Vex 7 said finally. "But you'll have destroyed half the galaxy by then," Dr. Foster pointed out. "The radiation from exploding stars will spread across space. The biological weapons will mutate and spread to other worlds. Even if you win the war, you'll have created a galaxy that's barely habitable." Jake could see that some of the aliens were starting to understand, but the hardliners on both sides were too filled with hatred to listen to reason. "The meeting is over," Sub-Queen Kala 5 announced. "The Corvin Collective will not accept human interference in our war." Ambassador Vex 7 stood up as well. "The Zephyrian Empire has nothing more to say to primitive humans or their alien friends." As the alien delegations left the meeting room, Jake felt discouraged. Diplomacy had failed. The aliens were too committed to their war to consider peace. "What do we do now?" Jennifer Cole asked. Jake thought about Admiral Carter's message. The Earth Defense Fleet was on its way, but it would take them several more days to arrive. Maybe it was time to show the aliens that humans weren't as primitive as they thought. "Lisa," he said to Commander Hayes, "I need you to arrange another meeting. But this time, I want to demonstrate some human technology." Lisa looked curious. "What kind of demonstration?" "The kind that might change their minds about calling us primitive." 3 days later, Jake arranged to meet with smaller groups from each alien faction. These weren't the main ambassadors, but military officers and scientists who might be more open to new ideas. General Ryan Hall represented the Nexari Federation. He was actually a human who had joined the Nexari military years ago. Commander Zex 3 came from the Zephyrian Empire, and bioengineer Kala 9 represented the Corvin Collective. Captain Morrison. General Hall said, "The main ambassadors are saying that humans have nothing to offer. But I've heard rumors that Earth has been developing advanced technology in secret." Jake nodded. "Those rumors are true. We've been preparing for the day when we might need to defend ourselves or help others." He activated a device that projected a holographic display showing the specifications of human ships. The alien officers studied the information with growing amazement. "Your faster-than-light drives are much more efficient than ours," Commander Zex 3 admitted. "And these shield systems, they're unlike anything we've seen before. How is this possible?" Bioengineer Kala 9 asked. "Our intelligence reports said human technology was centuries behind ours." "That's because we wanted you to think that," Jake replied. "Earth learned long ago that sometimes the best defense is to let your enemies underestimate you." The demonstration had the effect Jake was hoping for. The alien officers realized that humans might actually be able to help end the war. But they also warned him that their governments were too committed to the conflict to change their minds easily. "The only way to stop this war," General Hall said sadly, "is to show both sides that they can't win. And that might require more than just talking." Jake knew that Hall was right. The time for diplomacy was running out. Soon, Admiral Carter would arrive with the Earth Defense Fleet, and they would have to decide whether to use force to prevent genocide. The fate of billions of people across the galaxy was now in human hands. Admiral Sam Carter arrived at the Haven's Gate station with the Earth Defense Fleet just as Captain Morrison sent his final diplomatic report. The peace talks had failed completely. Both the Zephyrian Empire and the Corvin Collective had rejected all proposals for a ceasefire. "Admiral," Jake reported over the communication system, They're planning to use those weapons within the next week. The Zephyrians have moved their Star Killer to the edge of Corvin space. The Corvins have loaded their Life Eater onto transport ships heading for Zephyrian worlds. Sam looked at the tactical display showing the positions of all the alien fleets. The Zephyrians had over 200 ships surrounding their secret weapon. The Corvins had nearly 300 ships protecting their biological weapon. The Nexari Federation had managed to gather about 50 ships, but they were badly outnumbered. "Sir," Captain Tony Martinez called from the bridge of the EDS Valiant, "we're receiving a message from the Zephyrian fleet. They're ordering us to leave the area immediately." Sam read the message on his screen. It was from Supreme Commander Felix Nash, the leader of the Zephyrian military. The message was not polite. "Human vessels, you are trespassing in Zephyrian space. You're primitive. Ships are not welcome here. Leave immediately or face the consequences." Captain Julie Morgan from the EDS Defender sent her own report. "Admiral, the Corvin fleet is sending a similar message. They're calling us inferior biological units and threatening to destroy us if we don't retreat." Sam had expected this reaction. The alien fleets had hundreds of ships each, while the human fleet had only 12 vessels. From their perspective, the humans were insignificant. "All ships, prepare for defensive positions," Sam ordered. "Remember, we're not here to start a fight. We're here to prevent one." The alien fleets began moving toward the human ships. Sam watched as nearly 600 alien vessels surrounded his small fleet. On paper, it looked like the humans were about to be completely destroyed. "Admiral," Lieutenant Steve Baker called out, "the Zephyrian fleet is powering up their weapons. They're preparing to attack." Sam took a deep breath. This was the moment he had been preparing for. "All ships, activate advanced shielding. Prepare to demonstrate human defensive capabilities." The Zephyrian ships opened fire first. Brilliant energy beams shot through space toward the human fleet. The alien commanders expected to see the human ships destroyed instantly. Instead, the energy beams hit the human ships and simply disappeared. The advanced shielding systems absorbed the attack completely, without showing any damage at all. What happened? Supreme Commander Nash demanded over the communication system. "Why are the human ships still intact?" Sam activated the fleet's communication system so all the alien ships could hear him. "This is Admiral Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. We came here to prevent a war, not to fight one. But if you force us to defend ourselves, we will." The Corvin fleet attacked next. Their biomechanical weapons fired streams of organic acid and living metal projectiles. These weapons could eat through most types of ship armor, but they had no effect on the human shields. "Impossible," Subqueen Kala 5 transmitted from her command ship. "Our weapons can destroy any known material. How are you blocking them?" "Captain." Morrison watched from his position near the Nexara fleet. He had never seen human military technology in action before. The sight of 12 human ships easily defending against hundreds of alien vessels was amazing. "Admiral Carter," Jake transmitted. "Privately, I think you've got their attention. They're starting to realize that human technology is much more advanced than they thought." Sam nodded. The demonstration was working, but he needed to do more than just defend. He needed to show the aliens that humans could disable their weapons without destroying their ships. "Julie," he called to Captain Morgan on the EDS Defender, "target the Corvin command ship. Disable their weapons and engines, but don't destroy the ship." Captain Morgan's ship moved forward with incredible speed. The human faster-than-light technology worked even in normal space, making their ships much faster than anything the aliens had. The EDS Defender reached the Corvin command ship before the aliens could react. Instead of firing destructive weapons, the human ship used precision energy beams to target specific systems on the alien vessel. Within seconds, the Corvan command ship lost its weapons and propulsion systems. The ship was disabled, but not destroyed, and all the crew members were still alive. How did they do that? Bioengineer Kala-9 asked over the communication system. They moved too fast for our sensors to track. Sam decided to demonstrate the fleet's full capabilities. "Gun," he called to Commander Phillips on the Ed's Shadow. "Show them what our stealth technology can do." The Ed's Shadow had been invisible to alien sensors since the battle began. Now Commander Phillips revealed the ship's position by appearing directly behind the Zephyrian command vessel. "Supreme Commander Nash," Dan transmitted, "we've been behind you for the past hour. If we had wanted to destroy your ship, we could have done it at any time." The Zephyrian commander was shocked. His sensors had never detected the human stealth ship. "This is impossible. No technology can hide from our detection systems." "Captain Martinez," Sam called to the commander of the EDS Valiant. "Show them." "Our planetary defense system." The flagship moved toward a nearby moon and activated a massive energy shield around the entire celestial body. The shield was so powerful that it could protect the moon from any weapon, including the star killer that the Zephyrians had built. "We can extend this shield to protect entire planets," Sam announced to all the alien fleets. "Your super weapons cannot penetrate our defensive systems." The demonstration was having the desired effect. The alien commanders were starting to realize that humanity had technology far beyond their own. More importantly, they were beginning to understand that humans could have destroyed all their fleets, but had chosen not to. "Admiral Carter," Supreme Commander Nash transmitted, "your technology is indeed impressive. But why should we trust you? How do we know you won't use these weapons against us?" Sam had been expecting this question. "Because, Commander, we've had these weapons for decades, and we've never used them to attack anyone. We developed this technology for defense, not conquest." Sub-Queen Kala 5 asked the next logical question. "If you can defeat our fleet so easily, why don't you just force us to make peace?" "Because," Sam replied, "real peace can't be forced. It has to be chosen. We can stop you from using those terrible weapons, but we can't make you stop hating each other. Only you can do that." The alien fleets held their positions, unsure of what to do next. They had come here ready to fight a war, but the humans had shown them that the war was already over. The only question now was whether the aliens would choose peace or continue fighting a battle they couldn't win. "All commanders," Sam transmitted, "to the 3 alien fleets, I'm inviting you to come to Earth for peace negotiations. Not as conquered enemies, but as equals who are ready to end this war and build a better future for all our peoples." The silence that followed was long and tense. The fate of billions of people across the galaxy hung in the balance as the alien commanders considered humanity's offer. Finally, Chancellor Wells of the Nexari Federation spoke up. "The Nexari Federation accepts your invitation, Admiral Carter. We are ready to negotiate for peace." Now everyone waited to see what the 2 larger powers would decide. A silence stretched on for what felt like hours. Admiral Sam Carter waited patiently while the alien commanders considered his invitation. Finally, Supreme Commander Felix Nash of the Zephyrian Empire spoke. "The Zephyrian Empire will attend your peace negotiations," he said slowly, "but we make no promises about the outcome." Sub-Queen Kala 5 took longer to decide. The Corvan Collective had to discuss the matter with their hive mind leadership. When she finally responded, her mechanical voice was cautious. "The Corvan Collective agrees to participate in negotiations. However, we reserve the right to leave if the talks are not productive." Sam felt relieved. Getting all 3 alien powers to agree to peace talks was the first step toward ending the war. But he knew the real work was just beginning. 3 weeks later, representatives from all four civilizations gathered on Earth in the historic city of Geneva. President Kate Sullivan personally welcomed the alien delegations. It was the first time in human history that aliens had visited Earth. Officially, the negotiations were held in a special building that had been quickly constructed for the meetings. The building had 4 sections, one for each civilization, with a central meeting room where all the talks would take place. Dr. Rachel Torres, Earth's chief scientist, gave the opening presentation. She explained how the human race had spent centuries developing defensive technology instead of weapons of war. "We learned from our own history," she told the assembled delegates. "Humans fought terrible wars in the past, wars that nearly destroyed our planet. We decided that our technology should protect life, not destroy it." The alien delegates were impressed by Earth's cities and technology. They had expected to find a primitive world, but instead they discovered a highly advanced civilization that had chosen to focus on peace and progress. Ambassador Nick Thompson led the human negotiation team. He worked closely with Steve Baker, who had studied alien cultures for years, and Maria Santos, who specialized in finding common ground between different species. The first week of negotiations was difficult. The Zephyrians and Corvins had been fighting for so long that they could barely be in the same room together. Every discussion turned into an argument about past wrongs and who was to blame for the war. "This is hopeless," Commander Lisa Hayes said to Captain Morrison during a break. "They hate each other too much to make peace." Jake disagreed. "They're here, aren't they? If they really wanted to keep fighting, they would have stayed home and used those weapons. The fact that they came to Earth means they want to find a way to end this war." Jake was right. On the 8th day of negotiations, something changed. Dr. Torres presented a detailed analysis of what would happen if the Starkiller and Life Eater weapons were used. "If these weapons are deployed," she explained, "the destruction won't stop with your enemy's worlds. The radiation and biological contamination will spread across the galaxy. Within 100 years, most star systems will be uninhabitable." Alien delegates stared at the scientific data in shock. They had been so focused on defeating their enemies that they hadn't considered the long-term consequences. "You're saying that using these weapons would destroy our own worlds too?" Supreme Commander Nash asked. "Eventually, yes," Dr. Torres replied. "The galaxy is interconnected. Poison one part, and the contamination spreads everywhere." Bioengineer Kala 9, who had joined the Corvin delegation, studied the data carefully. "The biological weapon we created is designed to adapt and evolve. If it spreads beyond the target worlds, it could mutate into something that threatens all life." For the first time, the alien delegates began to understand that they were all facing the same threat. The weapons they had created to win the war could end up destroying everyone. The breakthrough came when President Sullivan made a personal appeal to the delegations. She spoke about her own children and grandchildren, and how she wanted them to grow up in a galaxy where different species could live together peacefully. "We're not asking you to forget the past," she said. "We're asking you to think about the future. What kind of galaxy do you want to leave for your children?" Ambassador Nick Thompson then presented the human proposal. Earth would provide advanced defensive technology to all 3 alien civilizations. In return, the aliens would agree to destroy their super weapons and establish a permanent peace treaty. "We're not asking for anything in return," Nick explained. "We're offering this technology freely because we believe that peace benefits everyone." The negotiations continued for another week, but the tone had changed completely. Instead of arguing about who was right and who was wrong, the delegates began working together to find solutions. The breakthrough came when Chancellor Wells suggested creating a joint council to govern galactic affairs. "If we're going to share this galaxy," he said, "we need to find a way to work together." The idea grew into something bigger. The 4 civilizations would establish a galactic council with representatives from each species. Earth would provide the neutral peacekeeping force, while the other civilizations would contribute their own expertise and knowledge. Supreme Commander Nash was the first to sign the peace treaty. The Zephyrian Empire agrees to these terms, he announced. We will destroy our star killer weapon and join the Galactic Council. Sub-Queen Kala 5 signed next. The Corvin Collective will dismantle the Life Eater and share our biological research. For peaceful purposes only. Chancellor Wells signed for the Nexari Federation with tears in his eyes. After 200 years of war, his people could finally live in peace. President Sullivan signed last, officially making Earth the neutral peacekeeping force for the galaxy. The signing ceremony was broadcast across all 4 civilizations, and billions of people watched as their leaders chose peace over war. The establishment of the Galactic Council took several months. A new space station called Unity Station was built in neutral space, equidistant from all 4 civilizations. The station was huge, with sections for each species and common areas where everyone could work together. Captain Jake Morrison was promoted to Admiral and placed in charge of the Galactic Peace Fleet. Commander Lisa Hayes became his deputy, helping to coordinate between the different species. The Peace Fleet consisted of ships from all 4 civilizations, working together to protect trade routes and prevent conflicts. The technology sharing program was a great success. Earth provided advanced shield technology and faster-than-light drives to the alien civilizations. In return, the Zephyrians shared their energy manipulation techniques. The Corvins contributed their biological sciences, and the Nexari offered their diplomatic expertise. Dr. Amy Foster was appointed as the Chief Science Officer for Unity Station. She led research teams that included scientists from all 4 species, working on projects that would benefit everyone. Ben Clark became the environmental coordinator, helping to clean up the damage caused by 2 centuries of war. The process of rebuilding trust took time. There were still people on all sides who remembered the war and harbored old grudges. But gradually, as the different species worked together, those feelings began to fade. The real change came when children from all 4 civilizations started attending school together on Unity Station. Human children played with young Zephyrians, Corvins, and Nexari. These children had never known war, only peace and cooperation. 5 years after the peace treaty was signed, Admiral Morrison stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, watching. Ships from all 4 civilizations docked peacefully at the station. Trade between the species had flourished, and new colonies were being established throughout the galaxy. Hard to believe it's only been 5 years, Lisa Hayes said, joining him at the window. Jake nodded. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Earth had decided not to get involved. The galaxy would be dead, Lisa replied simply. Those weapons would have been used, and everything we see out there would be radioactive wasteland. A group of children ran past them in the corridor, their laughter echoing through the station. There was a young human girl playing with a small Zephyrian, whose crystal body sparkled in the light. A Corvin child, part organic and part mechanical, was teaching a Nexari boy how to solve a puzzle. That's our real achievement, Jake said, watching the children. Not stopping a war, but creating a generation that doesn't know how to hate. The transformation wasn't complete, and there were still challenges to face. Some extremist groups on various worlds still preached hatred and wanted to restart the war. Pirates and criminals tried to take advantage of the new trade routes. Natural disasters and accidents required the combined efforts of all 4 species to resolve. But each challenge overcome made the alliance stronger. When a plague threatened the Corvin home world, human and Nexari doctors worked alongside Corvin engineers to find a cure. When solar flares damaged the Zephyrian crystal cities, ships from all 4 civilizations brought supplies and helped with repairs. The Galactic Council met monthly at Unity Station to discuss policy and resolve disputes. Admiral Morrison often attended these meetings as the head of the Peace Fleet. He was amazed by how much the representatives had changed. Since those first negotiations on Earth, Supreme Commander Nash, now called Ambassador Nash, had become one of the strongest advocates for interspecies cooperation. Sub-Queen Kala V had developed friendships with R.